Are you struggling to find a new job right now? Look, it's extremely competitive. There's a lot more people on the market. It's a very different job market than it was 18 months ago. So let's take a look at what could possibly be going on and what you can do about it. There are multiple ways that you can find out about a job. A recruiter could reach out to you. You could find a job opening that you're interested in and apply directly online. You may have somebody that you know working at a company that might recommend you apply. Those are called referrals. The point is, there's a lot of different ways to go about looking for a job. Now, I'm going to focus on one today, which is cold applying, which I think is what most people do when they look for a job. So that's going to different job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Dice, looking for openings that you're interested in, and then applying and submitting your information, and then waiting to hear back from a recruiter if they ever do reach back. So let's look at this. If you've applied to hundreds of jobs and you haven't heard anything back, I'm going to suggest one of three things. Number one, your resume is not right and it needs work. Number two, you're applying to jobs that you're actually not qualified for. And number three, it's a combination of both of those. So if you want to find out if it's your resume, I suggest finding a resume writer or downloading the resume guide that's on my profile for $30 and taking a look at how you could make your resume better for the jobs that you're applying to. The second one's a little bit more tricky. You need to really take an honest assessment. And again, it might be worth meeting with somebody so they can make an honest assessment as to whether or not you're actually qualified for the positions that you're applying for. Now, this doesn't mean you got to be 100% qualified and meet every single requirement on the job, but you at least need to be 60 to 70% qualified, meaning that if a recruiter looks at your resume, they can easily tell based on your resume that you're going to be able to be successful at the job with minimal or little training. Companies do not like to train people. They really don't like to take risks when it comes to hiring people. The other issue to consider right now is there's a lot of people applying for jobs. If you look at my post from 2 days ago, you'll see a recruiter post had like 3,000 people applying. If there's that many people applying, it's obviously going to make it harder. So, quick hack. Go to job boards and set up alerts. And then as soon as a job opens up, you'll get an alert. Be one of the first applicants. This can greatly increase your chances of being seen by a recruiter. Yes, recruiters should be reviewing all of the resumes that come in, but let's say they review the first 100 and they find 3 resumes that they're happy with. They're likely going to move forward with those 3 resumes instead of spending hours going through other applications. So you tell me, hey, it's great. I'm actually getting people call me back. But once I have the phone screen, I'm not getting any further calls back from recruiters. If this is the case, what you need to start doing is recording those intro phone screens to make sure that you're saying things right, you're answering questions right. An easy way to do this is to actually record the conversation. So if you're having that call over the phone, open up a Zoom meeting on your computer and just record the audio. This isn't to record them, this is to record you so you can go back and listen and just listen to how you're answering questions and start to figure out, are there ways that I could answer questions better? And if you don't trust yourself to do this, again, you could hire somebody that can help you analyze these calls. I suggest even having a loved one listen to it to see if there's anything that they pick up that maybe you could answer differently. And in these types of screening calls, you're best not to ramble and talk too much. You want short answers. You want to be direct, and you really just want to get past this screening call. The goal of the screening call is to literally get past it. It's usually with a recruiter, and they're screening you to make sure it's worth the conversation with the ultimate decision maker, which is the hiring manager. Now you're telling me, great, I've got these screening calls, past the screening calls, now I'm actually meeting with the hiring manager, but I'm not hearing anything back, I'm not getting any offers. This is probably the hardest part of the interview because you're actually interviewing with somebody that's making the decision, the hiring manager. And it could be multiple people that have a say in this, so you could be meeting with multiple people. The best way to prepare for these interviews is to look online and see if there's any information around common questions that get asked. There's lots of sites that provide this, but the best way to do this is just do a simple Google search. So company name, common questions. Start to understand what the questions are that they're going to ask you, and then start to practice. When you're in these interviews, a lot of times they're over Zoom. If they're in person, it's a little bit more challenging, but if they're over Zoom, you can record the audio from those conversations. You can hear back the answers that you're giving to questions, and you can practice and improve, practice and improve. Unfortunately, with the interview, it is almost like a sales process. It's a sales presentation. Instead of selling a product or a service, you are selling yourself. Talk to any good salesperson. They will tell you that the key to their success is repetition and practice over and over and over. And with interviews, it's the same thing. Interviewing comes naturally to some people, just like sales comes naturally to some people. But most people, they require practice and preparation. Now, I think a key in interviews is being able to ask really insightful questions that show that you've done your research. Yes, companies still care if you've done your research or not. So make sure that you have 3 or 4 great questions to ask the interviewer. I recommend asking a question about the job, asking a question about the company, and asking a question about the interviewer. It shows that you've done your research, and it shows that you're curious. And it only takes about 5 minutes to do that research. Go to the website, go to their LinkedIn profile, and then look at the job description and just come up with a question that shows that you've actually reviewed the job, the company, and the person who's interviewing. I promise you that if you look at each step of the process where it's breaking down and you analyze what's going on, if you make changes and you experiment and you keep trying over and over, you will see progress in the job search. It's also highly important to remember that right now is a really difficult time. I am getting messages from people who have been laid off left and right. It's not just in one space. It's not just in tech. It's in marketing. It's in human resources. It's in all areas of business. So it is a tough time. There's a lot of people on the market, which means it's more competitive, which means that you need to prepare harder. You need to basically be more patient, more persistent, and you need to practice more. If you want more tips like this, remember to hit follow, save this video for later, and keep coming back to it. And if you want any of the resources I provide, you can meet with me one-on-one through the link tree on my profile. You can download my resume guide. I am here to help and support.